Hello, hello. Welcome to New Gameplay Today. I'm one of your hosts, Wesley LeBlanc, and today we are joined by John Carson, the king of late night, aka the world's best fighting game player. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I don't know if we're gonna prove that fact on this episode of New Gameplay today. We're gonna be checking out some DNF Duel today. This game
Yeah,
kind of came out of nowhere, and
this
by
is a
came out of
beta,
nowhere,
right?
what was that?
This is a beta, right?
It was a beta over the weekend. So, this was originally announced about a year ago. It's a collaboration between Arc System Works and a company called Aiding. We'll get into that developer in a little bit here, but this is based on a Korean brawler MMO called Dungeon Fighter Online. It's been kicking around for like 15 years or so.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's been around forever and ever, and they're finally getting around to making a fighting game out of it. It's kind of a natural evolution of how that game plays to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So after about a year of silence, they started releasing trailers for the different characters. Like 3 weeks ago or so?
Mm-hmm.
And so like every other day there was a new like 45-second trailer, and they've just been announcing like character after character after character. All of a sudden there's a beta, and that's what we got to play this weekend. So we're seeing some footage of my matches that I was playing. I am playing as the Inquisitor, the axe wielding warrior lady on the left there.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about that. Like, I'm not. It doesn't seem like that's her name, right?
No, it is. Inquisitor is her name. So
Oh.
all of the characters in this game are all just the classes that are represented in Dungeon Fighter Online.
Oh, okay.
So there's Inquisitor, the polearm wielding guy is the Vanguard. There's a Crusader. There's a Ranger who has like double pistols. There's a Berserker who has like a cursed arm and a great sword that he uses. There were 10 different characters in this beta, which is kind of huge for a game that didn't have any announced characters as of like 3 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, every character too is super unique. The fighting style for this game is they kind of eliminated the complicated move controls or like the special moves that you normally have with a Street Fighter.
All the button combination.
All of your like quarter circles and your Shoryuken
Yeah.
motions and stuff. So you can do those for some of the special moves, but it's mostly you have two buttons that are like regular attacks. You have a special attack button and one that uses your meter, which you could see under your life bar there.
That's the blue one. That's looks like
the blue
it's
one.
Constantly building up, or
Yeah,
is that just what's happening?
So it will automatically refresh itself. So in other fighting games, you would normally have to either like attack or do something specific to get your meter to build. And in this, it'll automatically refill. And even your meter gauge will get larger as you're hit, as your health goes lower. So you have a greater like comeback potential. I just found it really easy to like get into any of the characters and just mess around with some of their moves. Like I wouldn't need to memorize what like complex motion I would need to make on the controller to get something to happen. It was really just what direction am I holding with this button combination, and that's something that I wasn't like as a longtime fighting game player. That always felt like it was cheating to me. But I found it to be really refreshing for a DNF Duel.
Gotcha. So do you think that the like more simple control scheme for this type of fighting game would maybe like hurt its legs in the fighting game community that typically loves, all the crazy button combinations and stuff? Or do you think this is a good thing?
I think it's a good thing, especially for this game. There's a lot of freedom for like the combos that you can do. The like complexity for for pulling off moves isn't the same as just execution in general. Like you're still gonna need to be able to land like specific move after move after move to hit your combos. I don't think that in the long run for like high level play, I don't think it's gonna make a big difference, but it does help other people get into the game easier. So
Okay,
I
gotcha.
think it's a good thing. Like for me, who's like I'm not great at fighting games, but I love to play them.
Yeah, I was gonna say you seem to play like all of them, really.
Yeah, I'll dabble everywhere, but like I'm terrible at combos. So with this, it just felt a lot easier for me to like it took out a layer of complexity in my brain for like landing specific things. So I just felt empowered the entire time I was playing this game. Probably also just helps that a lot of the characters just like their moves flow well together. So you could just I mean, you can kind of mash things out and get cool moves to happen. But you could start to also then piece together what move works with what other move. And I don't know, there's something about this game that was really clicking with me this weekend.
Yeah, it looks great. So can you kind of break down what's going on top of the screen here? Because I'm seeing obviously the characters, we've got the time.
Yeah.
What's the little bar to the right and left of the clock?
I believe that's your guard gauge. It didn't really come into play much.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going down at all. Really.
No, it goes down like a little bit, but I never like saw anybody get like stunned or anything.
Okay, so is that
usually
something similar to like holding a shield for too long in Smash Bros. Kind of thing?
Right, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then obviously you have your life bar. What you'll notice in the life bar is there's some white health that kind of gets chipped away. They have a system in this game called conversion that lets you cancel attacks and reduce that white health down and give you more meter. So you can
okay.
So you can like sacrifice your life to give yourself more combo potential, or like or at least give yourself more meter to pull out bigger moves if you need to in a clutch
Gotcha. And
situation.
so I just saw the white bar was going, or the health bar was going up, like
Yes.
filling up more of the white. So what was going on there?
So with the Berserker, once you get to like 30% health, every character has their own, I think it's called Awakening. It's like a passive stat that'll like pop on that specific character. So for the Berserker, whenever you deal damage with the Berserker, you will gain health.
Okay.
So
that sounds really great.
Yeah, so they're also kind of taking an approach with the characters in this game, like almost like they're MOBA characters. Like they have specific abilities and traits that other characters don't, so they feel even more unique. So the Inquisitor here, that was kind of my main character throughout the weekend. I just really liked her playstyle. The axe is really fun. She has this cool giant fire wheel that she can summon.
Yes, I think we've seen that a few times. Looks really good.
But the thing that kind of clicked with me with her last night was she has these vials that she can throw out, and they're actually oil.
Oh, nice.
So if you soak an enemy with it, and then you light them on fire with one of your other attacks, it does like more damage. It does damage over time.
Nice. That's really cool.
So you're playing like this little mini game of like trying to coat them with oil and then light them ablaze.
Yeah, that's classic fighter game stuff. Just
Yeah.
lighting your enemies on fire, hoping
Exactly.
they die. So I just saw an exhaustion thing up there. What was that?
Yeah, so you can use more mana than you have, but it will cut off your
Looks like the abilities bar to
refill
like
of it.
regenerate. Yeah.
exactly
Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And going back to the developers of this, so I mentioned aiding earlier, and aiding has been around for years and years. They've done a bunch of different fighting games over the years. They did Bloody Roar, if you remember that from back in the day.
Yeah.
But most recently, they've worked on Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh, okay. Cool.
With Capcom. So there are characters in this game that kind of act like characters from Marvel vs. Capcom. So the Ranger here is the one that I mentioned before with the dual pistols. He's very much like Dante from Devil May Cry.
Yeah, definitely has that vibe.
they are. He's doing the gunslinging stuff. He's doing very specific moves from MVC3. So it's cool to see. I know people have wanted a revival of Marvel vs. Capcom for a while now, and it's kind of neat to see it in this completely other IP. But at least like those developers are letting elements of it live on a bit.
Yeah, and then Arc System Works they seem very responsible for what I'm looking at visually. I recognize this art style for sure.
Yeah. If you've seen Dragon Ball FighterZ, if you've seen Guilty Gear Strive in recent years, also pretty recently was Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, all under the watchful eye of Arc System Works. So yeah, they've been just a really great, prolific fighting game company, and they just need to keep on putting out quality stuff. They made sure that they put in rollback netcode for this game, so online was really nice all weekend. There were a couple issues for people with slower connections against me, but like most of my matches were going off without a hitch.
That's awesome. Cool. That's something that is it Fighter Z that does not have that, and people are begging for it?
That is correct.
Oh, good.
Especially this weekend. So yeah, that was the same thing with Grand Blue Fantasy Versus too. That was the last game that they released that didn't have rollback, but Strive has it. They started adding it to older Guilty Gear games, which is nice. KOF 15, which isn't Arc System Works, but is SNK and another storied fighting game developer. They are also putting in rollback for King of Fighters 15. So
yeah, and so kind of just to bring that up, that also had a beta this weekend.
It did.
Did you see? What was kind of like the fighting game community's thoughts between these two games? Did you happen to notice? Maybe people were veering more into DNF versus KOF, or
I think it was more DNF over KOF because KOF's a known property. There had already been a beta for it.
Okay.
About a month ago, and that game releases in February. So
okay, gotcha.
That was why I kind of hung out with DNF more. I did play a little bit of KOF, but like just to kind of see some of the new characters that they brought to the beta. But yeah, with DNF, they just announced yesterday that this is going to be coming out in summer 2022. So we have a little bit longer to wait for this game, but I think we're looking at something pretty. I don't want to say pretty special, but I was very impressed with.
Yeah, this looks great. It looks really good. Do you think so? Like, I'm not in. I don't really play fighting games too much, other than like the usual Mortal Kombats and whatnot. So me seeing this, it looks similar to Strive, which I know obviously it's probably very different when you actually play it. But like, so in terms of releasing a game like this, while Strive is still kind of the big fighting game from Arc System, alongside Dragon Ball FighterZ, does this like how does the fighting game community kind of take to having so many fighters like this?
Some people will try to play everything, but there are people who will just gravitate to specific games.
Okay, gotcha. So they're not really like hurting each other's legs as far as
not always. Like once some of them are just so different. Dragon Ball is kind of taking over the whole Marvel vs. Capcom scene because it is a tag team fighter, and then Guilty Gear is more competing with, I'd say, Street Fighter, kind of, but also it's working on the anime spectrum of things. So
gotcha.
Combat's a little bit wilder. This is somewhere in between, I want to say. So I don't know where this is going to fit or like how people are going to gravitate to it, because it is I'd say a little bit more beginner friendly, but people who are pretty enfranchised with fighting games seem to be excited by this still. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting summer.
Yeah,
We'll
for
see when
sure.
this lands, and if this comes out like before Evo, we'll see
True.
how people gravitate towards it. But like I said, I'm excited. I can't wait to play more. I wish the beta was longer than 3 days.
Right. Yeah, that's
It,
always yeah.
I kind of hope that they take a Dungeon and Fighters Online approach and be like, all right, I think that was free to play. Like, just make it free to play. Do the whole like
Buy
cosmetic.
cosmetics. Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be perfect. Just put it in beta early or something, and just do like cosmetics and roll it out like that. And I think this type of game, because it is so beginner friendly, would benefit from it. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, I guess
yeah.
we'll find out what happens next summer. Thanks so much for joining me today on New Gameplay Today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.